What's up guys, today I'm taking a look at the new CEDA Model-S. This was sent to me for free from Jet Blasters. Despite that though, I'll definitely give my honest thoughts on it and put it through numerous tests, including checking its velocity and accuracy out of the box, testing it with a simple spring upgrade, and finally I'll give it some more advanced mods. Let's jump into it. The CEDA Model-S is the first hobby grade blaster to come fully assembled out of the box. No parts to attach, it's ready to load a mag and fire. It's also the first to my knowledge that has any form of rifling out of the box, so this should have some really nice accuracy stock standard, and I'll be testing that later. Compared to the original CEDA, it now has a matte finish rather than glossy. Also, it comes with a 100% seal pusher breech installed which only fires half-length darts. I don't see a reason why you'd want full-length darts though, half-lengths are definitely the way to go for hobby grade Nerf. If you haven't seen the original CEDA, Jet Blaster pioneered this quick takedown mechanic where you just pull out the two pins and you have instant access to your internals. You can swap to a stronger spring, upgrade to metal parts, or simply perform field maintenance on your CEDA with absolutely no need for tools. While I have this open, I want to point out a flaw with mine and fix it. The plunger tube of mine came completely dry, no lubricant in there at all. Your mileage may vary if you get yours from Evike. Mine came from a Chinese warehouse. But if you need to lube yours, make sure you don't use anything petroleum based because it'll destroy your O-ring. I'm just using a food grade machinery grease for mine. Closing the CEDA back up, if we look at the rear, it has an M4 style buffer tube. The provided plastic stock is kind of flimsy. I'd recommend swapping it out for something better. Any airsoft or real steel M4 stock will slide straight onto this and will be a lot more sturdy. Now this next part, I've seen a few reviews and they all glossed over this. Maybe they simply didn't notice, but the ceda-s comes with a completely new kind of dart called the quick dart. These are based on the old Pac-D dart tips, popular in Singapore where they play a game called Quick Flag, hence the name Quick Dart. The Worker Gen 3 darts we're all familiar with weigh 1 gram. These new darts are a little heavier at 1.05 grams. How that'll affect velocity and accuracy remains to be seen, so let's move on to the Crony test. This is stock config, unmodified other than applying some lube since without that it was only hitting 75 FPS. First I'll test the darts it came with, quick darts. I predict they'll be slightly slower than Worker due to the extra weight. We got a high of 140, low of 105, and an average of 120. Now for Worker darts. By the way, the CEDA Model-S is also compatible with Worker's Talon mags. We got a high of 141, low of 125, and an average of 133. It seems on average the Worker darts did fly faster than the quick darts, probably due to their lighter weight. Personally though, I don't really care about velocity numbers. I like to compare how accurately they shoot. So let's go do that now. As usual, I'll be shooting at this wheelie bin from a distance of 100 feet. I'll start with the quick darts. Some nice accuracy from the quick darts. I had one go slightly high and miss the target, but now let's test worker darts and see how they compare. A very tight grouping from worker darts, as we've come to expect from them. Overlaying the quick darts, I'd have to say they're very close, with an ever so slight edge to the worker darts, but not a big enough of a difference to actually matter. I also had to aim higher with the quick darts because of their slower velocity compared to worker. If you're looking for an alternative to worker darts because their glue can be hit or miss, these quick darts do seem to be a solid choice. So now let's talk about some upgrades. A very simple upgrade would be to just install a stronger spring. AK Blaster Mods sell a 12 kilo spring, which should give a bit of a boost over the stock 10 kilo. Sounds good in theory, but after swapping to the 12 kilo, I ran into some pretty big issues. To put it simply, I couldn't prime the blaster at all. The plastic Boltsled kept buckling under the prime weight and coming out of its tracks. I decided to upgrade to a metal Boltsled, and if you're planning on upgrading your spring at all, I would definitely do the same. Upon closer inspection, the misalignment of the Boltsled had actually slammed the bolt forward and snapped the breech finger clean off. This is an important part for guiding your darts into the breech straight and smooth. So for the rest of the video, please keep in mind I essentially have a broken CEDA. Regardless, let's crony it with a 12 kilo spring. First, I'll shoot quick darts. I don't trust that 207, so I'm going to shoot one extra shot. We got a high of 172, low of 152, and an average of 162. A lot of twos there. We gained an average of 42 FPS over the stock 10 kilo spring. Now let's try worker darts. The 134 seems to be an outlier, so I'll shoot one more dart for it too. With worker darts we got a high of 178, low of 161, and an average of 169. The workers still average higher than the quick dart, probably due to weighing less. The difference was only 7 FPS though, instead of the 13 that we had with the stock spring. So now that I've covered the simple mod, which is just a spring upgrade and a metal Boltsled, let's try something more a little advanced. For this I'll definitely be keeping the metal Boltsled, And I'm stepping up to an even higher spring. This is an AK Blaster Mod 16 kilo spring. As you saw before, it's pretty straightforward to change the spring. Now though, I'm going to give the CEDA a brass barrel. For that, I need to remove the shotgun grip and with a screwdriver, open the entire upper receiver. Normally you can just hold down this tab, push your finger on the end of the zero, and without needing to open the blaster like this, the barrel will just slide out. It's the installing of the brass barrel that actually requires this to be open. This brass barrel I made myself by gluing 25 centimeters of 17/32 brass into a Jet Blaster Omni LS barrel. Those are out of stock everywhere I checked, but if you contact Spectre's Nerf workshop through Facebook, he can make a much nicer one than what I've made here. There's also some people making 3D printed adapter pieces. Personally, I don't think they'll perform as well as this, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Because the brass isn't as wide as the Zero rifled barrel, there's nothing to hold it centered and it'll just flop around, making your accuracy horrible. What I like to do is use some electrical tape where the shell ribs are, and this not only reduces vibration of the barrel, but it will also hold it nice and centered once the two halves are back together. Now there is a reason I went with a 25 centimeter length, and it has nothing to do with air volume. Simple reason I went with 25 centimeters is to allow a Blastertech Scar barrel to attach to the front. The Blastertech Scar should perform a little better than Jet's Zero rifled barrel. No offense to Jet, but Zero robs you of a lot of velocity in comparison. Numbers over the Crony were getting above 200 FPS with both dart types. But what I really want to do is shoot at the target. I'm not even going to use the bench rest. You don't use a bench rest in a Nerf war. Standing position, starting with worker darts. A really nice spread from the worker darts. None of them missed, even though I wasn't using the bench rest. Now let's try quick darts. The quick darts seem to be shooting a little further towards the left than the worker darts. Centering both dart types, it seems pretty close. One quick dart dropped lower than the others, and one went further to the right. But for unstabilized groupings, I have to say I'd be happy to use either of the two dart types. Back at home now, just a couple of extra things I wanted to mention. Firstly, the hand grip on the CEDA-s doesn't seem to close properly around the handle. There's a slight gap between the two halves at the back. Another small complaint is that, much like the original CEDA, the shotgun grip scratches the plastic as it moves. Just from today, I can already see scratches. One final tip, and this is more for people who film gameplay videos, you'll want to reduce the sound from the key rings when you're running. Simply tying them together like this, or with a zip tie, or whatever you want to use to tie them together. That'll stop them flopping around and adding unwanted noise to your videos. I think that pretty much covers everything, so now to sum up my thoughts on the CEDA Model-S. Out of the box, it's really accurate. I don't believe anything else really comes close. The takedown functionality of the original CEDA was a pioneering feature, and I like that others have started doing it on things such as the Caliburn and Talonclaw. I don't really count the Dart Zone Pro's quick takedown. The pins are really just a pointless feature on that. One thing I would give points to Dart Zone though is the external build quality. The DZP is a little sturdier overall than even this latest CEDA variant. Some upgrades I'd recommend: at least a metal Boltsled, and maybe the 12 kilo spring from AK Blaster Mods if you want to hit up around that 170 range. If you're an insane person, you could even stack normal Retaliator springs with one of the CEDA springs for combined really massively high spring loads. Only do that if you know what you're doing and don't mind breaking something. All in all though, great blaster, would recommend, and thanks for watching.